Surat Al Qarea'a. Tafseer Surat Al Qarea'a. Now, Al Qari'ah is one of the names of the Day of Judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the Day of Judgment in the Quran in lots of places and gave the Day of Judgment numerous names. One of it is Al Qari'ah. Why is it called Al Qari'ah? Because it actually تقرأ يعني it knocks between people's hearts and it freaks them out. It frightens them. When somebody comes and do this, everybody's frightened, right? Because that's قرعة. قرعت على الطاولة. I made a loud, sudden noise that made people frightened. So Al-Qari'ah, the Day of Judgment, it comes sudden. And it's loud and it's, so it makes people fear it. They're afraid during the Day of Judgment. And also because it knocks people with the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It scares them with the punishment of Jahannam. All the pain that they will be getting. Right? So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it Al-Qari'ah. It's a scary name that meant to scare the kuffar. And it also meant to scare us a little bit so we can stay on the right path and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so He can give us safety and grant us Jannah by His power subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why it's called Qari'ah, because it makes sudden noise, loud, scary things that happen that kind of scare us to wake us up and make us move toward the right path. So that's Al-Qari'ah, one of the Day of Judgment names. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He said Al-Qari'ah, and then He said Mal Qari'ah wa ma adraka mal Qari'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again is talking about the Day of Judgment, swearing by the Day of Judgment, repeating the question. He's telling us and telling Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam before us, Al-Qari'ah, the Day of Judgment. Mal Qari'ah, what is the Day of Judgment? Right? What is the Day of Judgment? On top of that, a third question. Extreme emphasis on the subject. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْقَارِعَةُ. Do you really know the details of the Day of Judgment? Do you really know the sign of the Day of Judgment? Do you really know what's going to happen? Do you really know how you prepare for it? All these questions, emphasis of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He asked us about it, and He mentioned it 3 times in the same surah. Al-Qari'ah, Mal Qari'ah, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْقَارِعَةُ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeat talking about the same thing over and over and over, He's telling us this is a real serious matter. Be aware. Be conscious of it. Visualize it. Think of it. Discuss it. Learn about it and prepare for it. طيب. Now subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking the question, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْقَارِعَةُ. Do you know what is Al-Qari'ah and the Day of Judgment? Then He give us the answer subhanahu wa ta'ala. What a beautiful way to ask a question and wait for a reply, but nobody's able to give the proper answer, or they're shocked, or they're too conscious to give answer or think of it. So what happened? He gave us the blessing of the answer. He gave us the knowledge. He's teaching us a lesson. He's asking a question, then He's giving the answer, so we are ready to actually benefit from it and learn from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So He's saying, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْقَارِعَةُ يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ الْمَبْثُوثِ وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ. Now He's given us a description, details, visualization, a picture of the Day of Judgment. He's saying that in the Day of Judgment, the people will be just like farash, butterflies. Butterflies, right? Have you ever seen butterflies in the spring, where they're flying all together in big numbers looking for flowers and roses? It's a rare sight to see, but when you see it, it's really amazing, because those butterfly, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ الْمَبْثُوثِ, مبثوث, they're muntashir, they're spread all over the place, all over the garden, the farash, right? The butterfly in the spring, they're spreading all over, flying all over, trying to find the rahiq, the flower, so they can actually feed. So in the Day of Judgment, the numbers of people are so much, basically entire humanity, whole humanity. So the people are spread all over, just like the butterflies in the spring where they're spread all over a big garden or a big area of greens and flowers. Of course, in the Day of Judgment, it's not going to be greens and flowers. It's not really a beautiful scene. It's actually a scary scene. طيب. The people will be spreading like farash, like butterflies. Why? Because they're all walking toward one direction, which is the direction of the area of mahshar. The direction of the area where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gathering all humanity at once, at one location, to be judged and questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So people are spread, lots of numbers, but they're all moving in one direction, toward one area. Similar to it, they say, but it's not really 100% authentic. The area of Ard al-Mahshar, some scholars say that it's actually in Damascus, Syria. They say that. So there is a debate between the area of where will be the Day of Mahshar. There is a lot of, opinions. But bottom line is, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Day of Judgment decides for us to move in one direction, we will be all moving. You can't go against the traffic. There is no way. You can't just decide to wander off. Everybody's moving in one direction when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be, so we can be judged. The people will be walking, but they're not really aware of their surrounding. They're like, in a way, like zombies, like people who are sleepwalking. They're just walking. They're walking. They're walking at the same rhythm. They're not able to stop and wonder and think and comprehend. The scene is really scary that nobody's able to think. It's a state of panic. Everybody's panicky. Everybody is, not knowing what's happening. They're in shock. Our minds are in shock, so there is no place for, what happened if I go to the other area? Or, I don't want to go over there. I want to go to the opposite. There is no comprehension. It's a state of panic. Nowadays, if there is a panic, if there is an emergency, something happened, an accident, a fire, everybody runs away from it. Without control, they run, they step on each other, they bump into each other, they're just running, they're terrified. And that's exactly what happened in that Day of Judgment. وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ Subhanallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the mountains, the Day of Judgment and during that time, will actually be collapsing and getting into small pieces, and it will fly away. Just like mixed colored cotton. Just like if you had not necessarily cotton, just like wool. When you have a big ball of wool that they use to sew from and all that, when you have ones that are scattered, wool is light. It can, just throw it and it will fly different colors. So the mountains in the Day of Judgment and during that time, it would be flying away. Just like if it was pieces of wool that are different colors. Because mountains are different colors. You have black mountains, you have brownish one, the one made from lava, the one different. So the mountains will be scattering and flying away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy all the mountains. There will be no need for them. And what a sign, because if you look at mountains nowadays, if you ever go stand in front of a big mountain, you're going to look to it and you're going to try to find the top, like if you ever go to Everest or whatever, you're going to be shocked by how huge it is, how big it is, how tremendous it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to have it scattering all over the place.